Welcome to Past Presents, where we bring history to life by examining the most impactful, overlooked, and often forgotten moments from the past. If you're passionate about uncovering the truth and diving into the hidden chapters of history, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for future content. The unspeakable things that happened in Unit 731 in history. There are dark chapters that are often overlooked or ignored, not due to time, but due to politics or cultural blind spots. One such chapter, which we will cover today, is the horrors that took place in China during World War II. These atrocities were carried out by the Japanese military in a secretive facility called Unit 731. Warning: this video contains graphic content and is not suitable for young viewers. Viewer discretion is strongly advised. The forgotten history. In some cases, history has been obscured by national and political factors. After our previous videos covering sensitive topics like the Romanian role in the Holocaust and the rape of Nanking, some questioned the truth of the events. Let it be clear, the facts presented are irrefutable. These events happened, and a denial of this history does a disservice to the victims. Unit 731's story is one of those atrocities that have been largely forgotten by many. In today's world, Japan, as a 21st century nation, is vastly different from its WWII past. The actions of WWII Japan, like those of Nazi Germany, are an undeniable part of history. The rise of Japanese imperialism. To understand the horrors of Unit 731, we need to go back to the early 20th century. Japan, having been isolated from the world for centuries, was thrust into modernity after Commodore Matthew Perry opened the country to the West in 1853. This created a sense of urgency within Japan to modernize rapidly, fearing the fate of China, which was being carved up by European powers. By the late 1800s, Japan had transitioned from a feudal society to a modern industrial power. After a string of victories, including the Russo-Japanese War of 1905, Japan was poised to take its place among the world's great powers. However, Western nations, entrenched in racial biases, were reluctant to accept Japan as an equal. In the early 20th century, Japan became a military dictatorship and, by the 1930s, a fascist regime that promoted ideas of ethnic superiority and loyalty to the emperor. These ideals were ingrained in the education system, the media, and public life. By the time Japan invaded China in 1937, they viewed themselves as superior to the Chinese and subjected them to brutal occupation. The atrocities of Unit 731. Unit 731, established in 1936 by Shiro Ishii, was Japan's biological and chemical weapons research unit. But it was much more than that. The unit, based in the northern Chinese city of Harbin, was responsible for some of the most horrific medical experiments in history. Ishii, a doctor fascinated by infectious diseases, used the local population as guinea pigs for his research. Thousands of Chinese civilians and prisoners of war were subjected to biological and chemical weapon testing. Many were injected with deadly diseases like plague, typhus, and smallpox, while others were exposed to horrific vivisections without anesthesia. The research conducted by Unit 731 was designed to develop weapons of mass destruction, but the cost was human lives. It is estimated that between 200,000 and 300,000 people were killed by these experiments. The experiments carried out by Unit 731 were varied and included testing the effects of diseases, hypothermia, and biological agents on human subjects. The victims, most of whom were Chinese civilians and prisoners of war, were often exposed to these cruel experiments in the name of military advancement. These atrocities went largely unnoticed by the outside world until after the war. Aftermath and legacy. After Japan's defeat in 1945, the U.S. granted immunity to many of the members of Unit 731 in exchange for the data they had collected. This allowed many of the doctors and military officers involved in these atrocities to escape justice. The full extent of the horrors committed in Unit 731 remained largely hidden for decades. In retrospect, the actions of Unit 731 were among the most barbaric and inhumane experiments ever conducted in the name of war. The victims of Unit 731, largely forgotten in the global narrative of WWII, deserve recognition, and their suffering should never be overlooked. Thank you for watching Past Presents. If this story opened your eyes to a lesser-known chapter of history, please like and subscribe. Share this video with others to ensure that these stories are never forgotten. Stay curious, stay informed, and we'll see you in the next video.